In 2022, Mercedes-AMG is attempting to reinvent the performance sports sedan. This is the EQE 53. Let's check it out. So in Australia, we're going to get the 53 version, but Mercedes-Benz is also going to introduce a lower powered 43. But forget about that car. Key facts about this car is it produces an incredible 460 kilowatts and 950 newton meters of torque from twin motors, one on the front axle, one on the rear. If you go for something called a dynamic pack, that increases power and torque to an incredible 505 kilowatts and 1000 newton meters of torque. And that gives this car phenomenal acceleration. The fastest versions of these can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 3.3 seconds, although top speed is limited to 240 kilometers per hour. Now, there will not be a 63 version because basically Mercedes-AMG deems this car to be just far too heavy to justify the Halo 63 badge. But anyway, let's have a quick look at some of the differences over the regular EQE. So at the front we have a different front bumper again, and there's genuine aero changes. So we have these curtains here that sort of reduces turbulence around these front wheel arches. Now there's going to be two versions of the alloy wheels. There's going to be a 20-inch version and a 21-inch version. At the back of the car there is a cheeky ducktail spoiler and again a smoother sort of diffuser, which again maximizes range. And the range in this car is really, really impressive. On the WLTP figures, the most efficient versions can cover up to 528 kilometers on a charge. That's pretty impressive, but it does have a huge 90.6 kilowatt hour battery. But enough of all of this, I'm getting absolutely soaked. I think it's time we take this car for a drive. Inside the EQE 53's cabin, I mean, this is a delight for anyone who's into their tech. I mean, this hyperscreen is the same screen fitted to the EQS, and it just looks phenomenal here. There's a really nice, comfortable driving position, but there's these really, really thick A-pillars here that are difficult to see around when you're sort of on it. So that's the criticism, but other than that, I mean, this is a genuinely breath of fresh air beside something like the traditional E-Class. We're very impressed. Now, we just need to drive it. So when the EQE 53 arrives in Australia later this year, it will go up against cars like the Tesla Model S Plaid, except that car's not available yet because of supply issues. So it will kind of have the market to itself. But even when the Tesla arrives, I think many will prefer the EQEs. Just, well, the cabin, the quality, the build, yeah, it really does have the advantage over its US opposition. Of course, at this point, most people will point out that the Plaid is around, well, a second quicker to 100 kilometers per hour, and that 3.3 seconds, 0 to 100, isn't that quick for an EV. But I'm telling you, from where I'm sitting right now, you do not need much more performance than this. The way the EQE shrugs off its 2.5-ton curb rate, well, it needs to be witnessed because it's just so damn quick. As standard, the Mercedes EQE 53 comes with 415mm 6-piston steel stoppers, but this car comes with huge 440mm carbon ceramic brakes, and my god, are they powerful. Better than that is the way the AMG manages to blend the stopping power and brake recuperation. It is just imperceptible. It's so clever. Something else that has to be mentioned about the 53's dynamic armoury is, well, its incredible traction. The 53 comes with a 165 kilowatt motor on the front axle and a 265 kilowatt motor on the rear. And between both of them, well, my god, they managed to blend torque and just fire you out of corners. And it's all down to software because the torque managing is just well beyond what any mechanical setup can do. And not only does it go front to rear, it can go from one wheel to the other across the axle. to help turning on roads like this and in the city, Mercedes-AMG also offers the 53 with rear steer, which, well, it works. It helps the car turn in quicker and it makes it feel, well, a lot lighter. But the thing is, it's not that good because it also gives this sort of artificialness to the steering, which means it's impossible to judge how much grip there is on this front axle. And trust me, when you run out like that, there's a lot of understeer to be found. Now, the 53 has also been designed to try and steal sales from people who would normally buy things like, well, the E63S. And that means they've created its own soundscape. Now, the clever thing about it is it hasn't attempted to mimic a V8 or V6. Instead, it's taken some inspiration from Star Wars. Now, let me demonstrate. So here we are, a standing start. We're in Sport Plus mode, and listen to this. It's proper X-Fighter stuff, isn't it? But the best thing is when you tire of it, you can turn it off through the individual mode, which I think I probably would because I just enjoy the silence. Now, the most interesting thing about the E53 AMG is the way it's going to be positioned for the Australian market. When it arrives, we think it's going to be priced at around $200,000. Now, that means it will cost around $15,000 more than where we think Tesla will charge for the Model S Plaid. Personally, I think it's well worth the premium, just for the quality of the cabin. But perhaps the most interesting thing is this car will weigh in at around $50,000 less than the E63S. Now, for some performance fans, I totally understand that the fact that they will miss the 4-litre twin-turbo V8 soundtrack. But you know what? I think once you've lived with this car, once you've driven it and experienced the level of performance that it delivers, I think that many might think that this is the car. This is the car that might convince them to buy their first battery-powered vehicle. Then there's the space. As well as a great cabin, there's plenty of space for tall adults in the rear, both leg and headroom. So all in all, the EQE 53 is quite a compelling package. It might not have the ultimate handling finesse of something like an E63S, but my God, is it fast, well built, and a quality piece of engineering. But there is, of course, one fly in the ointment, and that is the Porsche Taycan. Because if you can sacrifice space, don't need to carry people in the rear seats, that car blends a great cabin, phenomenal performance, and handling to die for. But for now, I think the EQE 53 is a phenomenal effort from Mercedes-AMG, and it makes you look forward to future high-performance electric cars.